So, Camp Grayling, the largest National Guard facility in the country, is about 230 square miles, 148,000 acres. Much of this is state public land that is leased to them from the DNR. They are proposing they be permitted to take over an additional 250 square miles, about an additional 162,000 acres. It's way too much. I believe it's something they want and not something they need. I'm not the only one alone in this feeling. When Lovell's Township residents asked Colonel Myers at a public input session what the benefit was to the community for sacrificing even more public land, he gave a speech about protection and patriotism and how not everyone has the opportunity to experience the sounds of freedom like local residents do. This statement really had an impact on me as a lifelong resident, led to the title of this video, which is When Opportunity Isn't. This video is more examples of some of the negative impact of living in a close proximity to Camp Grayling's training areas, and it's because I don't want to see these negative impacts expand into other areas that are as of now untouched by military. I want everyone to know what you're risking if you don't speak out about your opposition to this proposal. It's a lot, and it's our duty to protect it. Colonel Myers appears to see our lands as an opportunity to expand Camp Grayling to create more room to play. And I know military training and wartime efforts are anything but fun, but this is a term he used himself in an article in D-Business magazine. And there's another video I created about subleasing concerns that goes into more detail on that. I would like to give more examples of existing negative impacts and how they could spread. So this is about how living near the military training lands is not an opportunity for local residents, as he believes it is. So pollution is probably the first impact that comes to mind. It's the longest lasting opportunity Camp Grayling has blessed the local residents with. And according to information on the Michigan.gov website for PFAS, the contamination at Lake Marguerite in Grayling, Michigan was identified in October of 2017. And it was because a concerned citizen sent videos of the white foam on the lake in to the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy. This triggered an ongoing series of surface and groundwater testing and identified the widespread PFAS contamination that is originating from several existing Camp Grayling facilities. So this remediation investigation is still ongoing. There isn't a public or publicized remediation plan that I could find, but these are forever chemicals. They'll be in the water system for generations to come. There's no way to get rid of them that is known. They're linked to numerous cancers, diseases, infertility, child and infant health issues, and locals have been advised not to ingest lake water, not to allow children to ingest the foam on the lake, and advisories have been issued on how much fish should be eaten from these sources. Many residents have also been forced to abandon their groundwater wells and connect to the city water system. This means instead of having unlimited use of chemical-free groundwater, they now have to pay for chemically treated city water. So it's an additional expense and forced ingestion of chemicals. I love my groundwater. I would be devastated if I had to have city water. This is not an opportunity for them. It is a lifelong impact, and who knows what the physical impacts will be on their health. They've been ingesting this water for decades, not knowing it was contaminated. So although the contamination might not have been intentional, Camp Grayling was very, well, in my opinion, slow to respond and implement remediation plans. This whole thing has generated a lot of distrust and justified that distrust between the community and Camp Grayling. And none of us want to see additional freshwater resources put at risk by giving them additional lands to perform training on. Another opportunity we've had from being in close proximity to Camp Grayling is the loss of access to pristine state land. This is public state land and natural resources. So the land that the National Guard already leases from the DNR has been severely damaged. I don't know the extent of pollution on these lands or the affected water bodies, because I haven't been able to find any online studies of the lands that they lease, aside from the locations that were identified as PFAS contamination, or identified because of PFAS contamination. If anybody knows of any, let me know. I have not been able to find any studies on their impact zones or the other areas that they use for training. There are many lakes that locals used to frequent, family traditions, just general recreation, fishing locations, that we can't even see anymore. There are forest areas that no longer exist, complete deforestation because of all of the explosions. There are 2 tracks that have become tank trails as wide as I-75. The fenced-in area and the intensity of training activities has evolved into something we never could have anticipated. The fence creep and gate closures seem to increase every year, so the fences seem to be expanded outwards. The gates that were rarely closed are closed more frequently than they're open. Lakes that my family could always access 20 years ago are frequently blocked off today, and I don't even know when we would be able to go to those locations. And because of what happened in Grayling at Lake Marguerite, I would hesitate to eat the fish, might hesitate to swim there. So this was not the case when training began on these lands. We, as local residents, coexisted with military on these lands for decades until they decided that was no longer an option. Now, whether it was considered a public safety issue to have us out there while they're training, or they just don't want people in the area, I don't know. I believe this is what would happen to additional public lands if this proposal is approved. Maybe not immediately, but over time. Even if the current intention is non-invasive, it will evolve just as it has on their currently leased lands. I am not interested in this new opportunity from Camp Grayling. I prefer uncontaminated lands with forests that we can go and enjoy, and groundwater systems that aren't polluted. I'm sure we probably all do. Loss of tourism is another opportunity our local establishments have been blessed with. They're feeling the full benefit of this now. It's awful for them that we are being cut off from other areas by having main roads and trails blocked. Most notably, there's a snowmobile trail that has been closed a couple of years in a row on President's Weekend. Recreational tourists plan their trips based on previous experiences. So it only takes once of having to turn back on a rural snowmobile trail to completely remove that route from your trail in future planning. The same goes for camping, fishing, horseback riding, hiking. Why would anyone book a reservation for next year's vacation in an area where there's no guarantee that the lakes and lands will be available for peaceful use? And I say peaceful use because even shooting blanks presents a nuisance. So if they're not doing live fire exercises and they're just using drones and blank rounds, it still reduces the ability to use the lands for peaceful recreation. Now, we only have one corner of our township left that isn't leased by the military, and I do not want to see them have the opportunity to destroy that as well. Noise pollution and man-made, what I call earthquakes, are another opportunity National Guard has shared with us. The 500-pound bombs and really low jets and helicopters shake my house, traumatize my pets. My windows rattle, pictures can fall off the wall, and I know it can't be good for my house's foundation. Anyone with any form of noise-induced PTSD should be advised not to settle in our area. I had to request a prescription for my dog this week because he needs some help to cope with Northern Strike. So I accept that for several weeks a year, this activity intensifies. I do not relish the thought of this activity becoming a year-round opportunity. Colonel Myers calls these noises the sounds of freedom, and he's correct. I do understand the need for comprehensive training, and I do stay here willingly. I simply do not believe that they need the additional land that they're proposing. The military has many abandoned bases they could use for cyber warfare training, or they could maybe reassess their usage of the current 230 square miles and strategically schedule their training to meet their needs. My family, both sides, has been in Levels for generations. My children and my grandchild make 6 generations enjoying the pure Michigan qualities of this area. I do not want to see it go from pure Michigan to pure military. So please help us fight this proposal. Write, email, or call the DNR Director, Dan Eichinger, who will be making the decision on whether or not this proposal will move forward. Give him ammunition in the form of public comments that he can use to justify denying this proposal. Help us help him. So if the DNR is to live up to their mission and protect the natural resources and reject this proposal from the National Guard, he needs all the help he can get in the form of public comments and objections and opposition. It's starting to rain, so thank you for listening. Please share, please email, call. It takes 5 minutes. Do it on your lunch. Do it while you're waiting in line for fast food. Just make your comments known. Posts on social media are helpful for sharing awareness, but anything sent to Dan Eichinger will be put on public record. So we need as many people as possible. Contact him, whether it's a phone call, email, anything that will go on public record. Have a great day.